Hey everyone, Steve here with Phantom History. Thanks so much for checking us out on YouTube, and if you enjoy our content, make sure you subscribe. Enjoy this episode. Sitting in the unfinished and expansive room on the first floor of the historic hotel in Napanoch, New York, Kara Salento and Gail Gamble listened intently as the caretaker shared the history of the property dating back to the 1840s, and that's when something caught Gail's eye. A dark, shadowy figure was crawling along the wall across the room. She nudged Kara and quietly mouthed, "Do you see that?" Kara nodded, as their eyes followed the shadow down the wall and out of sight. Neither caught the entity on their equipment because they were too stunned to act so early in the evening. But later that night, another guest shared that they also saw the dark figure crawling along the wall. And the dark shadow figure wasn't the only spirit the pair would meet during their investigations of the historic Shanley Hotel. I'm Steve Blanchard. Welcome to Phantom History. The Shanley Hotel near the Catskills of New York stand today as a popular bed and breakfast and destination for paranormal investigators and enthusiasts. Generations of owners have opened the doors to those looking for proof of an afterlife, proof of spirits, or just a paranormal experience. But prior to its reputation as a notoriously haunted hotel, the Shanley has had a life of parties, celebrations, and tragedies. James Shanley, for whom the building is named, and his wife Beatrice were known for their lavish gatherings. The well-liked couple were on the cutting edge of Victorian fashion and style, and even hosted an inauguration party for the incoming president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the future First Lady, Eleanor. This could explain why investigating the Shanley is unique in that those who come in seem to have a shared sense of euphoria. That is, at least, according to Gail Gable and Kara Salento of Lives Paranormal.
The first time I went to the Shanley, they were doing an investigation. They had a psychic. They were doing like a potluck. Okay,
They wanted to be reminiscent of like a roaring 20s kind of thing.
so everyone was supposed to bring a covered dish, and we're writing down there. We're cynical. We're like, I'm not going to eat other people's food. That's just weird. And we're talking about it, and we're like, so we get there and we get in and we start talking to these people from many different backgrounds, people that normally probably wouldn't necessarily get along, but there's something about the house, like Kara said, it wants the party to keep going. So we find ourselves like eating everyone's food, and everyone's eating our food, and we're not thinking anything about it, and people are just that normally wouldn't get along are investigating together, and everybody's hugging and everybody loves everybody else. It's almost like being intoxicated.
It's like an euphoria.
It is. You get like euphoric. And so we finally, when the weekend was over and we were leaving, and we got about 15 miles down the road, and I turned to Kara and I said, "What just happened?" And she said, "I'm not sure." But it was like kind of like coming out of a deep sleep. We're like, what? It was the most bizarre feeling, like we had just been caught up in this whole euphoric thing with the house, and then once we got far away from it, it kind of lifted. But it also, like for weeks after, we wanted to go back. I've never investigated any place that had that kind of effect. It's like the house draws you in and it wants the party to keep going.
The structure as it stands today is actually the second building to be built on the site. The first building, the Thomas Rich Hotel, opened in 1845 as an attractive vacation destination away from the larger cities of the northeastern United States. Thomas Rich saw fast success, thanks to the hotel's convenient location near the railroad. When the property sold in 1851, it became the Hungerford's Hotel. Even though the name was new, the elite gentlemen's club and bordello that had taken root inside the building continued to thrive. Some of the mafia hitmen and other allegedly unscrupulous characters that found a home within the business are still there, according to Kara.
The first floor of the hotel is the gentlemen's quarters, and that's where the bar and where men used to crash. And it's just one big room, and they have beds, right, that you can just crash on. So in that, and that's also where they show their little film on where you can, about the history. So down there has more of that party energy because that was the gathering room. So down there, you usually get Frank, who can be who does not like women in the gentleman's quarters, so he could be a little spicy when there's women down there because the gentleman's quarters was used for gambling and drinking, and then they would go upstairs to the women of the evening. So if the women come downstairs, he doesn't really like it that much. So then when you go upstairs, there's the series of bedrooms that you can now stay in as well. So you go upstairs, and then there's one room where Joe resides. Joe is also very spicy. It seems that the men seem to be a little bit more spicy, and they're more protective of the women. So he's more like a bouncery kind of personality. And the farther you go, if you go upstairs to where there were the two women that used to stay up there, and then various women of the evening, you can communicate with them, and you can ask them, they'll tell you to leave them money.
The Shanley Hotel building that stands today was constructed in 1891, rebuilt just months after the original building burned to the ground. In 1906, James Shanley, an Irish immigrant, bought the hotel and added a bowling alley, a billiard room, and a barbershop. When he married Beatrice, the town threw a ticker tape parade for the couple, and the hotel, now a private residence, became the social center of the city. But all the well wishes and connections didn't prevent tragedy from following them in their married life. All three of the Shanleys' children died within months of their birth, and when Beatrice's sister died in 1918, it fell to the Shanleys to raise her two daughters. But it's the little girl of the family's barber, Peter Gregor, and a young boy who may have been struck by a vehicle who haunt a second-floor room of the Shanley Hotel, according to Gail.
The Shanleys, Beatrice and James Shanley, their first daughter, Kathleen, only lived to be about 6 months old. James Shanley lived 4.5 months, and William Shanley died at a little over 9 months. The barber, Peter Gregor, whom James hired to live in the Shanley Hotel with his family, his youngest daughter, Rosie, was only 3 years old when she passed. She fell into the covered well. Her body was found nearly 2 hours later. In September of 1915, another tragic moment occurred for Dr. Walter Nelson Thayer. He was backing his car out of the alley that ran between his home and the hotel, and his 5-year-old son, Walter Nelson Thayer, jumped onto the running board only to fall off again, and the car backed over him, and he suffered a severe head injury.
There's debate on whether the spirit of the young male child is that victim of the accident in the alley, because while severely injured, that child did not die from the incident. Jonathan, the name of the male spirit who makes himself known on the second floor, remains a mystery to many. But the spirits of the children may be residual in nature, Gail expects. But Kara is certain that the former mobsters who have taken up residence on both floors of the Shanley are intelligent. She knows this because she not only communicates with them regularly, but she plays card games with them as well.
I play in the gentlemen's quarters. I will play 21 with them, and I take the cards and I deal them, and then I put either EMF detectors or track lighting or something, and I have them hit or stay and let them light up, if they want to hit or stay. And depending on who I have, if it's Frank will bow out and not want to play, and he'll tell me to get out. He's just like, get out, so you know who they are.
While the spirits of the men are spicy, as Kara describes them, they are not intimidating or scary. Both women have encountered them enough times that they view the spirits more as acquaintances or even friends. However, the same cannot be said for the entity that resides in the basement of the Shanley Hotel, a basement that at one point in its history served as a morgue.
Because during the winters up here, and especially they're in the Catskills, like close to the Catskills, the ground freezes, so they couldn't bury the dead. So they would keep them in the basement of the Shanley Hotel. So there's a morgue in there. The way it's set up, it looks like a regular, basement, unfinished. It's got the stone walls, and everything. There is the place that is the morgue. There's set back. It's deep, and back there it's all dirt, and then there's like a little alcove. There is something down there that we were told keeps the children there. After spending time down there and seeing the action that you get, whatever is there, it lurks back there, and it will bully you. It will pull on your hair. It will give you threatening messages on Phasma Portal. It will tell you explicitly what it will do to you.
While Kara is hesitant to label whatever is lurking in the basement of the Shanley Hotel, Gail has her own assumptions as to what could be inhabiting the ancient space. It's old, she thinks, and it has been learning human behavior with every paranormal investigation that takes place there.
I don't think it's human.
My personal opinion about what's in the basement is that it is an elemental. I believe it's an elemental. I believe it came with the land. There's a lot of running water and limestone in that area. Whatever this is it's neither good nor bad. It just is, and it's very ancient, and it is over the years learned, been taught to crave activity and attention. And I think that is what draws people in and gives you that euphoric effect and draws you back, because for lack of a better word, I think that it is lonely.
The historic and haunted Shanley Hotel remains a unique paranormal experience for investigators of all experience levels. Gail calls it a mid-level haunt, indicating that it's a safe yet active location for those who are curious about the paranormal. And while it's well known to be haunted, Gail and Kara became convinced of the spiritual activity within its halls during their very first visit into the building.
When we were with a group, it was the same night that we had the potluck, and we were all in, and it's actually, the room initially was unfinished, and it was several of us and a psychic. Kara's like, did you say that? And there was this shadow figure. It was crawling on the wall, crawled down the wall.
And it smelled like deer pig.
But yeah, seeing that shadow figure crawl on the ceiling, and it's one of those moments for me. I'm very much about using the equipment, trying to quantify it, trying to prove it or disprove it, and to see this thing with my own eyes. And of course, I had nothing that could pick it up, and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I'm seeing. One, I'm freaked out about seeing it, and two, I'm thinking, no one's ever going to believe this.
But others did believe what Gail saw, because not only did Gail and Kara both spot the entity, others in their group did as well.
Other people saw it at different times because it was crawling, and they would they would say, like, because when you do an investigation, people are sometimes scared to say out loud because they think it's their eyes, they think it's whatever, and it's not until that one person says, "Did you see that?" that other people start to say, you go, I thought it was a shadow. I thought it was, my phone going off. I thought it was, and it's like, no. But other people did see it. It was across from us, and then the people across from us saw it over on by us. It was very interesting. It's a very interesting place.
Fortunately for paranormal investigators across the country and around the globe, that interesting place has fully embraced its historic past and its paranormal present. Descriptions of each room let guests know what, or who, they could possibly encounter, and there's one room dedicated to reaching out to the dearly departed, and it features a scrying mirror. According to Gail and Kara, current owners of the home have a connection to the spirits that inhabit it, much like the owners did before them. It's an ongoing tradition that seems to be continuously passed along to like-minded people. One previous owner, Sal, had different plans for the building originally, but once he discovered its hauntings, he shifted his plans, according to 9 Lives Paranormal.
Previous owner Sal was very much, a friend to the spirits, and was not shy about saying so.
Sal also, the place was abandoned and dilapidated, and when he bought it and he was fixing it up, and as he was fixing it up, he realized that the place was not really empty. And he totally changed his vision from being, a money-making, place and, or whatever, to restoring it back to what it was and making a home for those that are still there.
And that tradition continues, right along with the regular paranormal investigations that happen at the historic and very, very haunted Shanley Hotel near the Catskills of New York.
If I were to say, you wanted like a medium level haunt, not like, where, a super scary or like a base level, medium haunt. Yeah, Shanley. The Shanley doesn't disappoint. Every time you're there, and even in terms of location, it's deep in the Hudson Valley where they have UFO experiences. It's in the Catskills, which, you pull up to the place and your whole you feel the pressure on your body when you go there. It's very interesting.
This episode of Phantom History was written, produced, and edited by me, Steve Blanchard, right here at Phantom History House, a bed and breakfast experience in Tampa, Florida. Visit phantomhistoryhouse.com for more information on our paranormal-themed experience, a list of events, or to listen to other episodes of this podcast and our sister podcast, Conjuring Phantom History. Thank you to Gail Gable and Kara Salento of 9 Lives Paranormal in New Jersey for sharing their insight on the historic Shanley Hotel. For more information on this historic location, visit thehauntedShanleyHotel.com. To learn more about 9 Lives Paranormal, search for them on all social media platforms or visit 9livesparanormal.com. You can also follow Phantom History on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Blue Sky. Music for this episode was provided by Purple Planet Music, Shane Ivers, Daniel Birch, and Antonio Bizarro. And, as always, thanks for listening. Hey, thanks so much for watching that. And remember, if you go to phantomhistory.com, you can sign up for our newsletter where you will be alerted when we have a new podcast that drops, and also information about other events.